The news sounds in equal measure spectacular and implausible. A 17-year-old high school student was completing an internship at NASA's space agency and accidentally discovered a new planet. What sounds like a fun story actually happened at NASA. Goddard Space Flight Center in Maryland. Find out how it happened, who the student is, and most importantly, what kind of planet he discovered and what his discovery means for the future in the video below. If you like our 17-year-old wolf, Saukier probably didn't think he'd be making global headlines anytime soon when he completed his internship at NASA Goddard Space Flight Center in Maryland in July 2019. The center in Maryland is responsible for analyzing data from the TESS Transiting Exoplanet Survey Satellite Space Telescope, which was sent into space in 2018. This is exactly the task the student was asked to complete on the third day of his internship, a place orbiting two suns. So as Saukier went about his work, analyzing the relevant data, he noticed a dark and strange spot that had moved in front of a sun that was being observed by the telescope. Immediately, the trainee reported the discovery to his superiors, whereupon in the following weeks, some heated discussions about the evaluation of the data took place after much discussion. And intense deliberation, experts have now come to the conclusion that their intern must have discovered a new planet. The newly discovered planet is said to be about 7 times larger than Earth and about 1,300 light-years away from our planet, even though the experts re-evaluated the results a few times over doubting the existence of a new planet. By the end of the internship, they were pretty sure that it was indeed a new exoplanet. Another discovery regarding the planet sparked additional excitement. This one seemed to orbit not only one sun, but 2. According to the evaluated data, the planet orbits its 2 suns in about 95 days, just like a sci-fi film at a meeting at the Astronomical Society in Honolulu. The phenomenal details surrounding Wolf Saukier's discovery were officially announced. NASA announced that this is the first planet discovered by the TESS project. The 17-year-old student gave an interview to ABC News in the US and spoke to reporters about his discovery. He compared his discovery with the Star Wars films because protagonist Luke Skywalker's home planet Tatooine orbits 2 suns. The beauty of it is that 2 stars set at the same time every time there is a sunset. Of course, there was also the question of why no one had discovered the planet, yet many doubters considered it quite improbable, and why a student trainee should have made such a groundbreaking discovery. But the explanation is quite simple. The answer lies in the new technology. This is how Saukier explains it in the interview. A new telescope data was the only way to determine finally that it really could only be a genuine planet. What should the planet be called? The groundbreaking discovery has been published in a scientific publication with Saukier named a co-author. The question arises, what to name the planet in science? It is common to name new discoveries after their discoverer. However, it is somewhat different in the case of the new planet. Unfortunately, Wolf Saukier is not allowed to name the planet after himself or to think up his own name. All planets discovered by TESS are named with a code. The planet discovered by Saukier is named TOI 1338b. What kind of planet is TOI 1338? There's a further important question many are asking themselves now. What kind of planet is TOI 1338? Could it be like a second Earth? Will the planet be populated by exotic creatures? Unfortunately, the answer to these questions is not quite as spectacular as one might have expected. At the beginning, Wolf Saukier's newly discovered planet is a gas giant which probably can't accommodate life forms, and certainly no intelligent life, the exoplanet. TOI 1338b is altogether nearly 7 times larger than our home planet. It is comparable in size with the ring planet Saturn from our solar system. Its mass corresponds to approximately 33 Earths, a unique and beautiful planet. The images of the new planet quickly made the rounds on the internet. The gas giant was particularly well received by people because it is extremely impressive visually. At first glance, its appearance reminds us somewhat of the gas giant Jupiter from our solar system. Most striking about TOI 1338b, however, are the pastel hues and the unusual patterns on the planet's surface. The gas giant looks somewhat like a modern work of art, and is therefore very popular on social media and by the internet community. However, these are by no means faithful images, only simulated images based on the calculations and analysis of various data. The gas planet Toei 1338b is unfortunately still so far away from our Earth that we cannot photograph it yet, even with the most modern technology. What it looks like on the surface, and especially under the atmosphere, will have to be left to our imagination for the time being. As it stands, the beautiful pastel-colored optics are only part of NASA's interpretation. Although the many different data and calculations make it possible to sketch a rough picture of the planet, no one can really know what it looks like. 100%, it seems almost ironic that the newly discovered planet with the 2 stars is also in the constellation painter. Unfortunately, this constellation is not visible from Germany. Another Earth-like planet discovered, as if Wolf-Zuckier's brilliant discovery wasn't enough. Shortly after the discovery of Toei 1338b, another planet was discovered. This one is supposed to have pronounced similarities with the Earth and to have a life-friendly environment. Toei 700d is the name of this planet, also discovered by TESS. According to NASA, it should have the right distance to its star so that water on this exoplanet is liquid and not vaporous. The latter is the case with most planets and almost categorically excludes intelligent life. Toei 700d is therefore the first Earth-sized exoplanet that could have a habitable atmosphere. Also special about Toei 700d is its short distance to our own planet. With more than 100 light-years, it's still almost unreachable. But compared to most other exoplanets, it's quite close to the Earth. A student was also involved in the discovery of this planet. The star, which is orbited by Toei 700d, was classified by TESS at its first discovery as substantially hotter than it likely is. This meant that all the planets of the system were classified as markedly hotter and larger. However, this error was discovered by several amateur astronomers working with the TESS team. One of those amateur astronomers was the student Alton Spencer. Not the first student. A bright professional future now awaits the 17-year-old student. After all, how many interns at NASA can claim to have discovered a completely new planet? Yet Zucchier is not the only intern to have discovered a new planet. Back in 2015, Tom Wag, then 15 years old, was able to make a similar discovery during a week-long internship at Kiel University in the UK again. It was a tiny obscuration of starlight that later turned out to be an exoplanet named WASP 142b. So as it turns out, it's often the youngest researchers who have the right eye for things and are quick to spot unusual details. Here we have 3 cases of groundbreaking discoveries made in this way, be it the just recent discovery of the new Earth-similar planet, Toei 700d, which was first classified by a group of young new-generation astronomers, or the 15-year-old Tom Wag and the 17-year-old Wolf-Zucchier, both of whom discovered unique and impressive exoplanets. It's a fact that young researchers are the future of science and often show their talents at a young age. We're very interested about your opinion on this. Should young amateur astronomers be more involved in scientific work? Should interns like Wolf-Zucchier get a preferential chance in the job market just because they make an accidental discovery? Have you perhaps ever made a breakthrough? Discover yourself. Tell us about your experience and what you think in the comments.